Hi, I'm here. You may know me from my channel where I talk about all kinds of weird animals. But today, I have a special treat. Today we're going to ask the age-old, why does this animal suck? With our subject, the one, the only, axolotl. So first things first, what exactly is an axolotl? Well, it's a type of salamander, specifically a neotonic salamander. Salamanders are amphibians. Neotonic means the animal retains larval features throughout its life. So these guys are basically stuck in a kind of perpetual adolescence, which makes them look cute, but there are definitely downsides. How do we know they're basically stuck in puberty? Well, most salamanders go through metamorphosis. That's when their gills, which they use to breathe underwater, get reabsorbed by their body and lungs, develop so they can live on land. Axolotls don't do that. Instead, they keep their gills, which sprout feathery branches from either side of their head and wrap around their body. This makes them look like some kind of weird aquatic plant monster. And as far as we can tell, they live underwater their whole lives. But hang on, gills aren't just some random feature that happens to be on their head. They actually serve an important purpose. Gills are for breathing underwater, which obviously works out well for the axolotl, since they live there. Not having to change how you breathe as an adult also means you don't have to worry about evolving new ways of getting oxygen. Evolution doesn't really work in their favor, at least not in this case. Since axolotls never grow up, they kind of stay babies forever. They max out at around 18 inches long, although sometimes smaller specimens are found. This has both pros and cons. On the one hand, being a little guy means you can fit in some pretty small spaces, which might come in handy if you ever need to hide. On the other hand, you're more easily spotted by predators. Axolotls are known as the walking fish, which is technically inaccurate since they're amphibians, not fish. But we'll let that slide. Their fish-like nickname comes from their general body shape, which resembles a fish's body, and their external gills. Plus, they live in water, so close enough. They are somewhat good swimmers, but not great. Their bodies are soft and squishy and kind of floppy, so that makes swimming a bit difficult. Just imagine trying to swim with a broken rib cage. Their lack of grace in the water makes them easy prey for anything that swims past. In their native range of lakes in Mexico, they share the waters with lots of potential predators. I'm talking birds, large fish, anything that wants to snack on a defenseless salamander. In particular, tilapia and carp are a problem. These fish were actually introduced to the lakes in the 20th century, and they caused major problems for the local wildlife. They ate all the plants in the lake, including the ones that the axolotl depend on for hiding. They also directly preyed upon the axolotls, with the introduction of these invasive species, as well as pollution and urban expansion. Much of the axolotl's habitat has been destroyed. Now, this might be a good time to point out that while they're poor swimmers, they're also oddly graceful. I mean, check out this pose. Something about it just says cool customer. Okay, maybe it doesn't, but there's something undeniably charming about watching them glide through the water. So many angles, so little time. Another drawback to their diet is that they have tiny mouths and a weak bite, making it difficult to capture slippery prey. Now, what exactly do axolotls eat? Mostly worms, insects, and small fish. But because of their eating difficulties, they often starve. If the food supply is low, this can take a heavy toll on their population. So remember those regeneration powers I mentioned earlier? Well, the ability to regrow limbs and body parts is super cool, but it's not a magic cure-all. It's more like a fancy band-aid. Regrowing a tail or a chunk of brain tissue takes time and energy that could be used for finding food or avoiding predators. Not to mention that getting injured in the first place takes a toll on the body. Even without predators, axolotls struggle to survive. They're constantly competing with each other for resources and space. There are only so many rocks and plants to hide under, and only so many worms to eat. Axolotls face challenges every day, not just from nature, but from us humans too. When people see their cute little faces, they want to collect them. Collect them as pets, for medical research, and sadly, even as food. Axolotls were once an important protein source for the Aztecs, who believed they were gods of water. Now they're critically endangered. One of the few places you can still find them in the wild is in the Xochimilco Lake, where they're protected. However, it's unclear if that will always be the case. Their fate hangs in the balance, and they need our help to survive. Here's the thing, though. Unlike some other animals that are on the brink of extinction, the axolotl has become a worldwide phenomenon. Most people see them and fall in love, and that's why they make such great mascots and logos. After all, who wouldn't want to be this cute? Unfortunately, the axolotl's fame has made it more prone to exploitation, especially since it's illegal to own one as a pet in several U.S. states. Black market traders still sell them, and they're also collected from the wild in Mexico. People bring them home without realizing that they need special diets and tank setups to thrive. As a result, many die within months of being captured. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have an axolotl as a pet. I think they're absolutely fascinating. But if you're going to have one, make sure you can give it the life it needs. They require clean, cold, heavily filtered water, plus lots of hiding spots, and that's just for their basic needs. They also need to be fed a varied diet of high-quality foods and not just fish flakes. Otherwise, they'll end up starving. Okay, so now that we've looked at their weaknesses, let's sum up why being an axolotl sucks. First off, they're stuck being little kids forever, which makes them easy prey. Second, they're bad swimmers, so they're easy targets for predators. Third, they can't even defend themselves. They have no natural weapons or armor. Fourth, they're picky eaters and often starve. Fifth, their habitat is disappearing, and it's partly our fault. Finally, people collect them as pets or for research, which puts more stress on their already declining population. So yeah, axolotls are adorable, but life as one is basically hard mode. Sure, they can regenerate body parts, but that's not a get-out-of-jail-free card. So axolotls are unique, fascinating creatures that deserve our admiration and respect. They're going through tough times, but that's another reason we should protect them. We can learn from the axolotl's struggles and try to prevent other species from suffering the same fate. Maybe someday their situation will improve and they can roam freely in healthy ecosystems. Until then, we have a responsibility to be better stewards of the planet and ensure that the axolotl doesn't end up as a relic of the past.